Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Kung Fu Hustle. So, how I would go on and explain this movie is it feels just kind of like the Naked Gun of martial arts films. Like, uh, recently I would go on and state this movie is to be, uh, like martial arts, but it's like trying to go on and make fun of itself. And like, there's so much about it that kind of feels just like very Looney Tune-ish and just kind of goes on, reminds me of certain other kind of martial arts films that kind of don't take itself seriously, like Kung Pao or Chinese Torture Chamber Story. And eventually, if you go on and you go into the IMDb pictures of that movie, you'll come to find that there's to be like basically what I would call intimacy fighting, let's just say, in a very creative way. Um, but then also there is to be stuff like similar to this, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and also even at some point it is to remind me of like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, when we have like this musician uh, and these kung fu masters kind of battling out one another, because we just kind of see these weird visuals of all these stuff kind of like compiling together. And like that is kind of like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where we have like the DJs going up against the rock band, and like all these dragons and kind of weird goofy things are all flying into the air having combat between one another. So uh but if anything, kind of getting, and also like there's the Chris Farley karate film also, that again just goofily doesn't take itself seriously. So going into this film, we have a very unlikely hero. For most of the movie, the character Sing with his sidekick Bone is to go on and mostly be a guy who wants to be the bad boy. And he seemingly is to go on and con these people and go on and try as much as possible to try and join this Axe Gang, because really the Axe Gang has the numbers. So this ends up landing Sing and Bone going to this pigsty alley. And so this alley is seemingly to have a number of kung fu masters, and the Axe Gang is going to wind their way there. And then, when in winding their way there, it seems like, okay, we're going to find, the Axe Gang is going to find the best killers to go up against these kung fu masters, and just kind of accelerate the story up to an absurd degree, because it's to be very Looney Tune-ish and very just off the wall, like goofy, um, like attacks and approaches and whatever. That is to go on and seem very childish but very fun. And this movie was goofy and fun and great, and I really enjoyed it. And so with this movie, we go on and we eventually come to this like big final boss character that is to be called Beast, and he ends up having these just kind of animal attacks, and eventually he has this like toad attack that makes his like chin just very large, and he's on all fours, and like, and he's just eventually going on and meeting his match against the last dragon-like character, the final um like the final girl in a sense, or the final guy really in this story. And so really with this movie, it's trying to like hide or disguise who these kung fu masters are, which uh is kind of really fun to see how they go on to just get revealed. Just be like, oh, okay, well, like uh like your garden variety, like tailor or cook, or guy that just lifts a bunch of heavy bags or whatever, Like you would never probably come to the conclusions of who they actually are. And then also like a landlady or landlord or whatever, like you don't know who they really are, and so and like okay, who's the Sing guy that is going to go on and be this bad guy throughout this whole movie, like who is he going to be, and so on and so forth. And so uh yeah, like really I went on and I like went into this because I really wanted like a taste of getting back into martial arts movies, but I wanted this one because I've never seen it before, and also uh because it's like okay, like it sounds like this movie is trying to go against like the common variety of martial arts films, so I wanted to see it even more. Also, there's going to be some future fighting movies that I hope to cover on this channel. And I'm hoping that eventually I will cover the Jean Claude Van Damme movie. Um, Lionheart is what I hope to soon be covering on this channel. But then also let me know in the comments below what is to be your favorite fighting martial arts movie, because I've gone on and I've covered some Bruce Lee stuff, and also if it seems that people are interested in having me cover stuff like Kung Pao that I've seen before, and the other things that I've mentioned, let me know in the comments below also. Or reasonably, if you just have a favorite like movie that more than likely I have probably not yet covered on this channel, because I'm sure there will probably be something that probably someone will probably talk about and be like, oh yeah, I've already seen that, or I know about it, but it was just never covered on the channel. There's a list about like just like mountains long of like stuff that I've never covered on this channel, and I should really start to thin out that list. But there's always the paranoia of me of just like, well, like if I get to this movie, like, will anyone care? Um, and that's probably the reason for that list building so long, and really finally now getting to the point where I'm like, okay, like let's actually get to this list, instead of just kind of going into just the same content every day and really like burning myself out heavily by doing so, in that manner of kind of going to the same well uh, for uh, for putting content out. So so yeah, so eventually like this movie, like there is a lot of good funny stuff going on in this film, and I don't want to really like waste all the jokes here. Um and so with that said, like yeah, this movie was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Um we have a one point Sing who in his past had gone on and gotten bullied because he thought that he could learn this kind of kung fu tactic by just reading this book, and he ends up thinking that he can go up against this group of bullies and just beat them down, but it ends up being the quite opposite, and he ends up getting peed on with all these people that have kicked him and pushed him to the ground and then peed on him. And so he's like, well, hey, like, if I can't be a good guy, like, how about I just go on and be a bad guy? And then that's where he is to go on and think that he should go on and, like, do this path until, like, it gets to the point where, like, there's no other good guys left. And so it's up to Sing to just make uh, the morally probably stupid choice, but, like, there is no other good choice left, or there is no other bad choice for him to just go on and make, so he just makes the good one. So so yeah, like I'm really like thinly going on and talking about this movie, but reasonably, yeah, like if you haven't seen this movie, check it out. I know that there is to be certain apps that are to be renting out this film, but I'm going to go on and give you a free way to say you can see this movie for absolutely free. And all you have to go on and do is find the right server when you get into the movie to play the film, and I'll go on and I'll explain all of that. So there is an app that I use consistently, but does not have this movie. But I'll go on and explain that first, and I'll actually explain you the app of what actually has this movie. So, I go on and first, I go on to use an app called Zelifonic, Zelivonic. Again, this app will not have this movie, but fortunately, this app, if you have a mobile Google Play Store, you'll be able to go into this app and watch a plethora of other films that will go on and be able to have you have every movie at your fingertips that you probably most of the time will ever want. Um, or maybe just stuff that you just need to kill X number of minutes of your time of life. But then, the app that I actually use to watch this film is actually a app called Moopzy, Moopzzi, I believe is the spelling of that. Um, or reasonably, like if that doesn't work, um, then logically go on and just comment like, oh yeah, this didn't work. And I'll have like a number of different apps that I've used, and they're all through the Google Play Store, and I'll hopefully be able to help you out and figure out a better way to have you be able to find a number of movies and shows for absolutely free. Again, if you're a mobile user, if you have like a tablet like I do, or an iPad or whatever, you can be able to go on and watch all this stuff for absolutely free and be able to just consistently watch a number of things you wouldn't regularly on apps because you'd probably have to subscribe to them and pay for them and whatever for them. But anyways, uh, lastly, when you get to Moopzy and you play this film, uh, you're gonna go down and see all of the like the stuff that says like uh there's just a like a lot of stuff on the very bottom of the screen, and then there's gonna be a thing that says source. You're gonna go into that because of course the very first server probably isn't going to be in the English version of this movie. You're gonna go down through the servers and just kind of kind of push through them and eventually find a thing that says Prime on it. I hope that that server is still going to be there when you go on and check this movie out. And so the word Prime, Prime, is going to be in one of the sources, and you click on that, and that one should actually be the one that actually is to have it dubbed in English, so you can watch the whole movie dubbed in English. You can watch the film. I think there's two different Prime servers on there, but go into the one that, of course, you can go on and watch the movie English dubbed, because that's the one that I used currently at the second recording to watch this movie dubbed over. I think the movie technically also did have subtitles for those of you that also want subtitles, but whatever. Just I'm just blatantly saying what I had watched. So with that said, uh, like I don't want to get too enthralled and deep in the film, and maybe I didn't say much at all, but I kind of gave some of it away. Um, Other than that, let me know in the comments below. Uh, any other kind of movies that you gonna want to have me see in the future? More than likely, there's probably a number of people that probably had gone on and at some point commented for something that I should have probably saw, but logically, it just like I'm just trying to find something that is to do the best for the channel, to try to actually get views to the channel. And then fortunately there's sometimes where like it's been such a long time since like seeing uh all hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've done, and maybe surprisingly something does well and I don't know about it, and then like logically like people are just like, oh yeah, do the sequel of that, or like, oh, I didn't know, or do more of that or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, whatever, like but like really also people probably think that something did well but it didn't. It really didn't, or they think it's going to do well and it probably won't, specifically for my channel. That's what happens a lot. With that said, so hopefully this one does well. Because I really enjoyed this film and I saw it for the first time. It's very rare air that I'm to go on and actually see something for the first time, uh, or see it completely. Also, there might be a movie that I want to eventually see at some point called Raid. If anybody has gone on and ever seen that movie, let me know if you liked it in the comments below, and maybe I'll be actually tempted to watch the movie. Because logically, I'm sure there's going to be a number of people that are probably going to question any of my decisions of how I enjoy any movie ever, because of what I pick on this channel half the time. But with that said, fortunately, also, I am to want to watch every single thing that has ever existed, regardless of my own tastes. And then also, like, it's been a while since I've watched something that is really martial arts, um, that actually dips into that culture, and this will also just be a unique movie like this one. And so, with that said, uh, this movie was so good. Uh, Check it out if you want to go on and watch something fun for the day. And then also, uh, something that is just very goofy and very um much like very rarefied air when you go into like a parody-ish like of martial arts. uh Probably some people may go on and recommend me any number of martial artists or kung fu films. I have no problem with that. I've seen some Bruce Lee movies in the past, and I enjoy those things. If people want to go on and even suggest the show Kung Fu, which I know about and I've seen, I think an episode here or there of randomly. Um, I've seen Green Hornet. I've seen the movie Green Hornet, uh, that has Bruce Lee in it. I've seen a number of things in my life. So logically, for anybody to probably go on and recommend me something, it is very rare that every once in a while, like, I'll just be like, oh, yeah, I've never heard of that. And, uh, or it probably will actually be something that's not on the channel, but more likely I'd be like, yeah, there's probably a reason why it's not. Or really, it's like, maybe it might be something that no one else has ever actually reviewed a billion times over. Because every once in a while, I'm thinking like, oh, this is gonna be the movie, this is gonna be the show, this is gonna be the one unique thing, and then I go on, and I'm just like, let's see if anyone else has reviewed it, and like 10 people already have, and I'm like, great. So, but that's my life. So with that said, let's get into the life of the full-on like scene for scene review of this movie, the full-on breakdown, the spoiler version of this. So normally I would go on and to have broken this down in note form, but the way of which that I was to go on and watch this movie, unfortunately, like I could not go on and do notes and watch this movie simultaneously at the same time. So I'm going and doing my notes my very old fashioned way, which is to not just watch the movie and then just remember it all. No. Um, this time around, I'm going on and doing it the other way, that I was to go on and figure out how to like remember the whole movie, um, which is to at some points just have like a little like bullet point of things, or really also there were certain times where I would just go on and just take like a bajillion screenshots of the movie so I knew how to break it down. And really, I thought that that was kind of just uh, clever to just do it that way. Um, but yeah, so with that said, let me pause this here. Let me get out that whole spoiler because I know that this video is probably gonna be way longer than it probably rationally should be. Like I said, check this movie out upon Moopsie and go on and watch this whole thing and finally enjoy it if you've never seen it in your life. Because if you have seen it, maybe rewatch it because it's freaking fun. It's hilarious. the Naked Gun of kung fu martial arts movies. So with that said, let me pause here. Let me get out these things, these notes, these whatevers. All right, it is spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time we spoil this movie. This is kind of weird because normally when I would go on and probably need to review a film, how I would start the video would be like a heavy struggle. I would have to go on and start the video like 20 different times and have to like figure out how to just talk in the very beginning. Like it seems that today I'm very like smoother. I guess something just finally clicked in my brain, or I finally just hit the reset button on my way of doing things. Because I'm a lot smoother today for some goofy reason. I had also gone on and done this video at some point. Like I got through a good chunk of it, and then my tablet just like crashed and stopped, and just any of the footage that I was that had got just eaten in the system. So logically, I had to start all over again. So here's take two, technically. So yeah, I had to restart it, but like at least it's not the 20th time. So uh, this is take two. Hopefully, it goes somewhat quasingly well. So, spoilers. Let's get into this because I've talked for way too long about this movie and not enough about it. So, uh, we first off go into this police station, and this is to go on and seem like a very old-fashioned, like martial arts film. We do have casinos and stuff like that in this movie, but again, like it feels just kind of like this movie isn't like a heavily advanced kind of time period of film. So we're at this police station and there's a sign that says super crime fighters for some goofy reason. And so we have this man crocodile that takes this cop and he flings it up against that sign and the sign breaks and the sign falls over as well as this cop does. So this crocodile character is to be with this crocodile gang and led by him. And so Crocodile's upset because of his voluptuous woman who is off to the side. And so Crocodile's upset that this woman had gotten seemingly arrested by these cops for spitting. And so Crocodile's like, why is this woman here? And she's spitting. And so like they probably like booked her because she's probably one of those women that is to be like a lady of the night kind of thing. And so and there's also going to be I think a girl named Jane that like I'll go on and I'll explain her and I think that she's like a lady of the night, but then again there's no like hanky panky to really assess that, but still you'd have to assume with how she dresses or how she kind of presents herself or how she really has money that she probably is that kind of woman. Um, but so let's get there. So hopefully, so Crocodile is going on and looking at this girl who's spitting. It's like, how could you have gone on and arrested this woman? Because I guess that's his side piece. And so he looks at this one cop and spits at him and like chucks this pot at him and it's boiling and it hits him. Ah! So Crocodile is just assessing that it's like, hey man, like I paid you guys so much money, like why are you going on arresting my women? And so Crocodile takes this woman, walks out of the police station, and so they're walking out of the police station, and like one of the like I think the lieutenant of the police officers is kind of having his door open, and Crocodile's like looking at the lieutenant, is like, hey, what are you looking at? Do you want to my address and my tailor? And the way he just says this, I just had a good laugh. And then like the door closes and then the crocodile guy walks off. And so Crocodile's outside, like right next to the movie theater, and like he's looking at his side piece woman and he's looking at her butt. He's like, man, like for how good looking you are, like why is it that this movie theater is so dried up and on a Sunday night? And so the Crocodile Gang, like all together, are probably like a handful of guys, maybe like six, maybe seven at the most, and that's even including like Crocodile and also his side piece. So they're walking along, and then all of a sudden, this like army, and I mean army, like every single one of these streets are like filled with these like suit and tie Abraham Lincoln hat wearing top hatted motherfuckers, and they're all just like swarming every street of where this Crocodile Gang is. And so Crocodile is meeting up with the leader of the Axe Gang, that is Brother Sum, and right next to him is his vice general. And so Brother Sum is going on and talking to Crocodile and is saying it's like, oh yeah, well like I'm here to like kind of like thin the herd out because he wants to go on and find every gang and wipe them all out. And so this is going to be another extension of that. And so Brother Sum is like, oh, okay, well, yeah, like I took some of your numbers in other locations and made them mine. So Crocodile to go on and realize that, like, well, like he's probably gonna go on and probably see, like his last days. Like the Crocodile doesn't want to go out with a whimper, so he's gonna go on and have his other gang members be a distraction while he runs away. So Crocodile turns to his men and is like, "Oh yeah, you guys, you go on, you shoot these men." So Crocodile starts running off, and so the Crocodile gang members, they get out their guns, and like we just see a sea of axes. They're all flinging their axes, killing all these men, and the vice general, he falls over and then flings this axe, and the axe ends up chopping down the crocodile's foot, and he falls over. So brother brother Sum makes his way to Crocodile, and before he starts wailing away on him with this axe, Crocodile's like, "Wait a minute, before you kill me, remember when we had that dinner together? Remember when I treated you to that dinner?" And so Brother Sum is like looking at him, and it's like, and then like murders him ruthlessly. And so all the Crocodile gang members are dead, with the exception of this woman. And so Brother Sum is going on and looking at this woman, and this woman is like, "Oh, well, like you're not gonna hurt me, are you? Like, come on, like don't." And Brother Sum is like, "No, no, no, I wouldn't hurt a lady." And so he's like, "You go along home now." And so the woman starts walking and turning her back on Brother Sum, and so Brother Sum is like, "Hey, you over here." And so one of his gang members gives him this shotgun, and so he blasts the girl and murders her. And so the vice general is going on yelling to the lieutenant police officer. It's like, "Hey, clean this up!" And we have like one of the detectives or the lieutenant or whatever. He's like at his office desk table. He's like counting his money. He's like, "All right, I got so much money." So the next thing we see is a massive just montaging of a number of gangs all getting killed, while bizarrely also Brother Sim and his axe gang are doing this weird jazz hands dance number, and with these axes and like, yeah, we're killing, all right, just axing it up, and they're just dancing away. And I'm just like, okay, this is just like, this is interesting. But then also like at some point, like around the area of that culture, like we would just go on and just see that these kind of movies just like to have these kind of just dance numbers in their films for whatever I'm trying not to offend anybody, but yeah, so we have this like jazz hands dance number of a thing, and they're chucking and jiving and whatever, and we're uh we're seeing these guys at this dinner that get killed, these guys in their car that get slaughtered, and so on. We're seeing these black and white flashes. And then so we set up that the Axe Gang are to seemingly be housed within this casino. And so we're seeing the inner workings of this casino. This one advisor is going on like counting all of this money and all this change. And so setting up that this is the Axe Gang's lair. So if that is to go on and be high society, we then have to go at the bottom of the barrel of society, which of course is the Pigsty Alley. So we would come to find that people are to have these very just large bowls that probably is like their entire water for that day to just hygiene themselves and clean themselves and so on and so forth. So we start to see people that are working within this alley. So first thing that we see is a coolie, and this coolie will come to find is to be like a bigger character a little bit later. And so coolie is going on over his back, has these huge amounts of sacks that are just like way yay high, well above him, and like he's carrying all these, and he's just kind of grabbing onto these sacks, and like you would think that all of this would be very heavy because of course one sack would probably end up being like very large and massive. So you would think that all of these would be probably foam, and so they probably actually weigh nothing. But anyways, so they'd be like him carrying pillows. But so, but the ironic thing is, like, Cooley tries to make this all look heavy, but then he goes on with one leg and is to kick up one of these bags to make him look like, oh yeah, like this is nothing to this guy. Like he is so absurdly strong that like this camel ain't gonna break its back anytime soon. So like it seems heavy, but it's like, oh no, just trick and flip it up there, and it's nothing. So I'm like, whatever. Like I wanted to just like middle finger to that because I'm like, dude, like you want to be strong, buddy? All right, Kay, whatever. So like just stuff like that just kind of like bugs the crap out of me. Uh, when like you want to like have somebody that's already doing something that seems absurdly strong, and then just like does the like, oh, the one legged, yeah, right, that's feasible. So but it's also to just be like, well, yeah, that's the goofy, funny thing of this film. So we have this tailor shop, and so this tailor has all of these like these sticks up high, to where he has to go on and use this stick to get to these other sticks that are holding all of these silver rings, to hold a lot of clothes all together on them. So we'll come to find that this tailor will use these silver rings for something entirely different than holding up clothes later on, and so that will go on and be just kind of an interesting thing that ends up tailoring out. Let's just say. So we then transitions to the noodles and kanji, and so there's a whole reason why I'm going on and I'm talking about these certain characters because I didn't think that they were going to be important. But then while I was going along in the movie, I'm like, oh, they actually are important. Okay, there's a reason why they're spending these time, like covering these people in this alley. Okay, all right, like it's just kind of like a hero in hiding kind of thing is going on here. Let's try to be discreet about it. So the noodles and kanji. So we have this cook that is going on and like just battering, with this stick, um, this thing of bread, and we have this landlord of this whole entire alley complex, whatever, and he's going on and getting this meal, and like he has his kind of these things and that are in his hair. So the landlord goes on and he eats his meal, and the baker, the cook, is called Donut. Weirdly, I don't know why. So I guess it's just a really funny name, and then also when you're crying out donut, because there's sad moments, that also just kind of sounds funny in a way. So as the landlord goes and slurps up his meal, and then turns to Donut, and it's like, well, how much do I owe you today, Donut? And Donut's like, oh no no, it's on the house. It's like, well, of course it is, because like the guy wants to kind of butter him up so the landlord won't raise his rent this month. So the landlord like grabs a bunch of food and just kind of makes it out, because you know that this landlord is gonna just uh, treat these people like dirt and go on and like harass them or just make them seem like a less than. So, and then also like there's a reason why like the landlady and the landlord are treating everybody like less than, because they have something about them also hidden away. So for those of you that have seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. You know everything. Um, but it's still fun to just kind of talk about this little stuff, anyways, because it's spoilers. But I'm kind of trying to like build the suspense of this, I guess I have to. So, anyways, uh, the landlord comes into the tailor shop and is pinching the butt of the tailor, because we find that the tailor is gay. He's a fairy that they keep calling him consistently. I don't know why, but they just keep calling him that. So the landlord is like pinching this guy's butt and just kind of squeezing him and teasing him and whatever. And so then the landlord ends up noticing that there's this girl, Jane, that she used to be this girl that is wearing this kind of very provocative dress, and it's kind of see through and it's blue. And so Jane is going on and talking about the measurements of her dress to this tailor. And so the landlord is like, oh, yeah, all right. Well, so like the landlord ends up playing this game with Jane just to get to kiss her, and then like she runs out of the tailor shop because the landlord was trying to like put the moves on her. So Jane starts running out, and the landlord is like, "Oh no, no, I'm a judge!" Like he starts chasing after her. So other than that going on, there is to be this one bottom of the barrel guy that again his rent is way overdue, and but he still thinks that he can go on and go to this like water uh, pipe system with the like levers and everything like that to go on and have this water poured down on him so he can take this bath. And while he's doing that, like he's stripping down, like he's removing his um like his pants, and you're basically seeing his cheeks. So this guy's going on putting shampoo in his hair, and he's like, "All right, okay, I'm gonna get all nice and dolled up here," and all of a sudden the water just stops coming down, and so this guy is going on and shouting out for the landlady, 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 like, did you pay your water this month? Um, like, what happened to the water? And so the landlady comes on and is like, oh man, you have some balls to to step to me and talk to me. So, and the guy's like, well, I'm in the middle of my shampoo. Like, I need water. And so the landlady not only is to just like go on and look at this guy, but then she's like, well, for now on, like, no water is going to be on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and water is going to be rationed on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So, and the landlady's like, you know what? I just love like you fools complain, you assholes. And so, like, the landlady's seeing the tailor come out of the store, and like she calls him a fairy. And then Donut, he comes out of his restaurant and like, well, hey, go pay my rent. or I'll shut your place down, or I'll burn your place down. And then she goes on and sees the guy carrying all the bags of whatever, the coolie, and looks at him. It's like, you know what, like, you're gonna be a coolie for the rest of your life. You're gonna be just like the muscle for the rest of your life. And so finally we then have like the landlady who's just picking on everybody, but like, all your rents are months overdue. Like where, like, it's like, you're not even gonna give me a good morning. Like, come on, like, give me that money. So finally she goes back to the guy with the shampoo and just smacks him off the side of the head, and like, oh, here's your shampoo. So the landlady makes her way back to the landlord as he's nearby the women's restroom, and she's looking at him and it's like, oh my god, you have all this food. Like, what have you been doing with this the whole time? Like, I've been waiting on you. Like, come on, like, where have you been? And so the landlord is saying like, well, hey, like, there was supposedly some by the women's shower, there was some peeping tom afoot, and one of the women come out of the women's restroom and looking at the landlord like, and so like she walks off, and the landlord is like, well, hey, you have no evidence on anything, and you have no proof. And so we go on and we have the shampoo guy that is desperately trying to like get like whatever sliver of water is kind of left at any little puddle or anything to just kind of finish up his shampoo. And so in the background we see that the landlady and the landlord are at their house and they're having at it, they're beating the crap out of one another. And so the landlady's like grabbing the landlord's hair and just pulling him and yanking him, and so we all of a sudden then see the landlord go flying, and he flies out to the people, and so he falls on uh, this one this thing, and it breaks, and then he falls down on the ground, and here comes flying this plant that has this flower on it and smacks on his head, and then the pot breaks, and so it's just dirt in this flower. So the guy that wanted his shampoo, uh his shampoo uh weird goofy shower, is to go on and have the stick. He's like poking the landlord to see if he's still alive. And so the landlord just kind of like picks up his hand from behind him, and he's like, go away, go away. And so everybody's like, all right, okay, let's go away. So here's where we bring in Sing and Bone here. So we all of a sudden have all these kids and they're playing kickball nearby the pigsty alley. And so they're playing this kickball, and so they kick it too hard to where it lands in front of Sing. So Sing all of a sudden takes the thing, and he's kicking the crap out of it. He's basically doing all these weird, goofy, like Hobbs, like, God, what is the word? The little ball where you would go on and just kind of kick that, and just kind of balance it on your foot and do all these cool, awesome moves. Um, he's doing all these like cool soccer moves, and so by the end of this, one of the kids is like, sir, will you please teach me that? And Sing is like, oh yeah, sure, like, here's lesson one. And so he crushes the ball, and then he smacks it away. And so the kid who's upset because his ball is now broken is crying. And so Sing walks with Bone to Pigsty Alley. So the two of them make their way to this barber to get a haircut. So immediately when they make their way to this place, they come to find that the barber like is having his pants so low that you can see his butt cheeks. And immediately when Sing looks at this barber, like, the guy looks at him and is kind of like, and so Sing is like, oh, okay, all right, I can use this against him. This is how I can figure out how to like kind of get money out of him. So the barber cuts Bone's hair, and so it seemed to be revealed that Bone has this big, massive double axe over his chest, and bizarrely, whenever Bone ends up getting upset, he slams his wrists or his fists into the chair, and his whole just chest continues to wiggle. I guess it's this weird, goofy joke about this really just big guy who has his chest that just jiggles. It's, I guess, hilarious. So I just thought it was just weird, the visual that they just keep having to go right back to that chest as it's jiggling. It's like, okay, all right. Like, how many times are we going to go to this joke? So after the barber goes on and cuts Bone's hair, uh, Sing then goes on and it's like, well, hey, uh, hey, this is my boss. Like, don't upset him. But if anything, I think the way that you cut his hair, like it looks like he's a fairy. And then Bone is like, huh? And so Sing is looking at uh, the barber, and it's like, well, hey, like, you know what? Like, since you've gone on and you've disgraced my boss, like, how about you go on and you give me all the money in the till, and like, we'll just kind of let this be. And the barber's like, no, like, I'm not gonna give you the money. And so Sing is like, oh, okay, well, how about we do this? How about you just give me enough money to uh to give us a couple of drinks? And eventually the barber is like, oh, you're trying to blackmail me. And so uh as Sing is to look at his boss, Bone, we all of a sudden realize that Bone is now he's sleeping on the chair. And so Sing doesn't have this intimidating force to scare this guy. So Sing is just going on and just figuring out whatever else he can just say to just intimidate this guy. So he's like, oh, well, hey, like, I'll like, hey, you want to get a rough, and this and that. So the barber is just like, well, hey, you know what? If you kill me, there's gonna be just 1,000 other people that are just gonna take my place at any moment. And so Sing all of a sudden looks out at these people, and he just sees a ton of them all circling around this barber shop. So Sing is to go on and be like, oh, okay, well, hey, like, I guess you guys want a show. Like, I guess you guys want a 1v1, like a 1 versus 1. Like, all right, okay, like, just make sure that it's one at a time, guys. Don't cheat. Okay, come on. Like, let's see who it's gonna be. And so, the first thing that Sing goes on and picks out, he's like, oh, okay, hey, you woman over there, you with the onions, come over here, come on. And so the woman comes over there. It's like, all right, okay. So Sing is like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm going to give you the first shot, woman. Like, come on, like, give it your best. And so she punches him in the stomach, and he, like, oh, okay. So Sing is turning to the woman, is like, what do you do for a living? And she's like, well, hey, I'm a farmer. It's like, maybe you should try to be a farmer. Maybe be stronger, you weakling. And so now, like, Sing has, like, blood coming from his mouth because of that. So he's like, well, hey, okay, like, what did I say about cheating? Like, oh, no, no. Like, hey, woman, just go away. So Sing just starts thumbing through the crowd and just starting continuing to pick people. One person he ends up picking, like, he sees that they have a really thin face in the background. So he's like, oh, hey, yeah, you there with the thin face. And so once this person is to come out of the darkness and show who they really are, like, it's this big, huge, tall guy, skinny but hugely tall. And so Sing is like, oh no, I want none of that, no cheating, come on, no, no, no. And so like, Sing starts to thumb through the crowd, and he's like, hey, you, Four Eyes, like, you with the glasses, like, come on, like, come up, come on. So uh and so we all of a sudden see the guy with the glasses, and he comes out of the crowd, and he has these huge muscles. And so Sing is like, oh, no, no, not you, not you, I didn't mean you. And so finally Singh is to go on and just like, hey, you kid in the crowd, all right, you. So he's like, ah, come on, kid. So the kid comes out again, like the Four Eyes guy, like he's shirtless and he has all these huge muscles. And then so at this point, Singh is just like, you know what? Like, how about we just not have a one versus one on one today? Like, no, 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 like none of you guys are worth it. Like, you guys aren't worth my time. So Singh then turns around back at the barber, and right next to him is the landlady. So the barber tells the landlady, it's like, well, he tried to blackmail me. So Singh is going on and looking at this woman. It's like, oh, okay, fat woman. And so the landlady goes on and slaps the crap out of Singh. And it's like, fat woman, my ass. And so he's going on and he's like kind of running at a good pace from her. And uh, and so Singh is like, well, hey, we're on the same side. And so like landlady's like, same side my ass. And so uh like Singh is like, well, hey, like I have my boss with me. And so landlady's like, you have like you have friends, my ass. So continues to just slap and dick the crap out of him. So uh and so Singh runs further and further away from this landlady. And so he's like, well, yeah, like uh it's like, oh, no, 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 you're never gonna have anything of being more than a nitwit and this and this. So Singh goes on and he grabs this firecracker and he's like, oh, okay, now you've had it. Like, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna call for backup. And like the Axe Gang is gonna come in here because I'm a part of the Axe Gang. Because again, Bones has this huge, massive axe on or double axe thing on his chest, saying that he's an Axe member when it's not really true. So they're pretending to be Axe Gang members. So so Singh has his firecracker. He throws it in the air, and coincidentally, it goes off. And it goes off right on the vice general's hat. And now, like, half of his hat is messed up. So this vice general comes into this environment, and he's like, "Okay, who threw the firecracker?" And so Singh points at the landlady, and so the vice general's like, "Oh, okay, all right." So uh the landlady's going on like looking at everybody and is like, oh, I think I'm gonna try to get out of here. So the landlady's looking at everybody as they're looking at her, and she's like, hey, mind your business, go about your day. And so all of a sudden, just the landlady turns into Wile E. Coyote, or not Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner, and she just beep beep and like freaking Sonic's blasts her way like up to her home and hides underneath her bed. And uh so this vice general's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna show this place. And so all of a sudden there ends up being one guy that steps up to uh the vice general, and this ends up being the barber, who's like, well, hey, like your gang, like you blackmail me too. I can't or I ain't afraid. So the barber goes on and attacks this vice general, and he goes flying and he flies into this barrel. And so the gang members, they go back to the vice general, and like they try to get him back out of the barrel, but his back is broken. So the vice general is like, hey, call out a flare. And the flare goes out and it shows a giant axe in the sky. So now we have this music, this record playing in the background, and Jane is going on and putting on her lipstick on this mirror. And so she goes on and does it almost perfectly. Then all of a sudden, and then she's like, "Oh, really? All right. Well." So Jane goes outside and she's like, "Hey, what's the racket? What's all going on?" And she realizes that there is just a swarm now of these Axe Gang members, all with their weird, goofy top hats and axes, and they're like, "Yeah, all right." So all these Axe members get everybody from this alley one by one and put them all in these small circles. And even Donut is going up like, "Hey guys, what's going on? You guys hungry? Like, how can I like figure out a peaceful way to like resolve all this?" So Jane ends up getting thrown to the ground. We have the landlord that he's still there with this pot on his head, and he grabs all the dirt and he surrounds his face to just kind of hide himself, like he's gonna bury himself in the dirt now. So Brother Sum comes in here like he has his whole entire gang, and the gang is going on and taking these gasoline containers and opening them and pouring them all over everybody. And so Brother Sum is looking at his vice general, and it's like, "Okay, well, who did this? Like, I want to know who it is. Like, let me know by the count of three." And so he's like, "One, two, three." And so he ends up taking the lighter and chucking it, and one person comes out of the shadows and catches the lighter and turns it off. And he's like, "I was the one," even though he wasn't the actual person, because that actual person was to go on and be uh, the barber who took out the vice general, but also it was actually Singh all along who threw that firecracker. But the guy who was to grab the lighter and said that he was the one, um, and he was Cooley, but really he's to actually be Iron Fist. So there actually is some kind of weird, goofy thing with martial arts, but there seems to be legitimately a Iron Fist name somewhere weirdly out there. So because if anything, the first thing I think of Iron Fist is the Marvel character, or also any number of other martial arts things where I think they have just a legitimate Iron Fist uh, martial arts movie somewhere out there. So the Iron Fist guy, who's Cooley, but I'm gonna call him Iron Fist for now, for here on out. Grab the lighter, but like, "Yeah, I was the one." And so all of a sudden, all of these axe guys, and it looks like a huge visual with just the one guy and these axe guys just swarming around him as if this is like the Matrix movie where Neo is fighting like a bajillion Agent Smiths and they're all surrounding him. It's kind of that same familiar kind of sight. So, but this Iron Fist guy, he's taking all these guys on and he's beating the out of them. So we have one of the Axe Gang members land into the tailor shop, and so now the tailor is face to face with one of these gang members. So the tailor ends up going up like, "Well, hey, like, would you like to try on a thing of clothing?" And so now this tailor is forced to go on and dismantle his sticks that have all of these silver rings on it because he needs them, because he's going to gather all these silver rings together and put them on his uh, forearm, and he's going to go out there and he's going to participate in this fight to team up with the Iron Fist. So and the tailor's gonna go out there freaking shirtless and like take all these guys on, like back to back with Iron Fist. So this guy looks like Wonder Woman. He's using these 10 rings to like go on and fight off these guys with these axes. So again, Iron Fist and Taylor, they're back to back here, and they're wiping these guys out. Iron Fist is doing some back kicking and knocking some guys out. So the Axe Gang is thinking like, okay, this is starting to escalate, so let's get out our guns. So they get out these like Tommy guns, these kind of old fashioned kind of guns and whatever, and they're whipping those out. And so now that the Axe Gang is starting to get guns, we all of a sudden see that Donut, the cook, he's looking at all of his sticks and he's like, ah. So we all of a sudden start to see these guys with these Tommy guns and they're pointing them at people, and all of a sudden they go flying out of their hands, and then all we see is that these now guns have hit against these walls, and then we just see the stick there. So that is to tell us that Donut is like he's grabbing this stick and he's going out there and he is going to town with these Axe members. So anytime anyone has to have a gun in hand, like Donut just takes this stick and smacks it right out of their hand, and then the gun like completely just destroys in their hand also. So just oddly. So we start to see that Donut is like clearing house here. He is like sweeping all these guys up with this stick. And we start to see like this kind of whirlwind thing going on where all of this like dust or debris or whatever is starting to just collect together and almost like a tornado of action and fighting and whatever. So Donut, like once these three guys are together, they are freaking cleaning house. So but there's so much fog or debris or whatever going flying in the air. It's a wild sight to see. So by the end of this, we see these three kung fu masters and the Donut, the Tailor, and the Coolie. They're all standing strong as now Brother Sum is now having to retreat because he's like, man, like, all right, like these guys intimidated me. I'm bouncing. I'm out of here. So he goes back to his lair and he has Sing and he has Bone with him, and he's gonna make examples out of them because uh they were trying to pretend that they were Axe members. So it's like, okay, well I'm definitely gonna go on and make examples out of these guys. So back at his lair, Brother Sum I'm assuming he's getting a big fat hit of weed, and there's a guy alongside him that's kind of like pouring uh this tea or whatever, and he makes a little bit of a mistake and he drops some of it, and so the guy's like, well, I'm sorry, boss. And so Brother Sim is like, oh, okay, all right. And then he like decks the guy, slaps the crap out of him, and then the guy falls over. And so he's like, you know what, like I thought the Axe Gang was like ass kickers, like, you know what, like now we're going on and having these guys that are these morons that are pretending to be us. Like, all right, well, these posers, like I'm gonna take care of them. So, and then the advisor's like, well, hey, you don't go on, you don't do it. Like have the gang members, have them take care of it. So Brother Simmons like, oh, okay, like what do I have you guys here for? Like, go on, kill them. So the advisor is going on like, okay, let's count to three, and one of you just throw this axe. So Sing and Bone, let me set this up. So they are chained up, and so they have these chains, and there's locks on them, and so we have one of the axe members take his axe and chuck it, and so all of a sudden we're thinking weirdly that this axe somehow freed Sing, and maybe it was a weird, goofy mistake. Even though, again, how can an axe just break a chain like this? And so Sing bizarrely just falls to the ground. And so as Sing goes to like appear to where the advisor is, the advisor's like, well, hey, like, how did you escape so easily? And Sing is just like, well, I'm a lock picker. And the advisor's like, oh, well, like that seems to be a skill that we may really need to go on uh and have use of. So the advisor is like, well, hey, how about we double down on this? Like, you know what? Like Picklocker, like if you can go on and if you can free your friend, maybe we can use both of you for something. So Sing goes on and goes back to Bone and is trying to pick the lock, and it's like, okay, we'll give him down to the count of three if he can free his friend. And so we again have Sing and now both Bone fall to the ground, and both of them are now free because he had picked the lock in just 3 seconds. So, and we see the axes that are kind of flying against these walls, showing that there's no blood on them or anything. So Bone and Singh just come out, and so the advisor and Brother Sum are like, okay, all right, well, oh, cool. So here's where Singh and Bone plead their case. Like, you know what, sir? Like, we just desperately wanted to be a member of the Axes, and like, we'll do whatever you need. Just give us a chance. And so Brother Sum is like, well, like, have you done a crime before? Have you killed somebody? And so Singh is like, well, no, we've never killed anybody. And so Brother Sim is like, well, to get an initiation to get into this gang, you need to kill someone. Go and kill somebody. And so he leaves. And so Singh and Bone both leave. And so the advisor and Brother Sim is like, well, I think we can probably use some type like that in the future. So Singh and Bone leave, and they make their way down to the town where there is some casino, and then there's some beggars off to the side. And so uh, Singh is telling Bone, it's like, well, hey, like this time around, like let's definitely do this the right way. Let's kill somebody. Let's get this over with. And Bone, this time around, you don't fall asleep. So uh, so Bone and Singh are kind of looking at the people, and Singh is like, well, yeah, we definitely want to go on and look like those axe guys because, like, you definitely know that, like, their lives are just filled with money and women, and we don't want to be like these beggars. And so, like, at one point, like they're looking back at him. So all of a sudden, there's to be this one nerdy guy that's getting on this train or this light rail or whatever, and Singh is looking at this guy like, well, hey, you four eyes, like you with the glasses. Like, I'll smash your glasses. And so the guy's like, hey, what? And so he gets on the train, he's like mocking him and whatever. And so he's like, I'll kill you. So Bone is like, you really want to kill somebody? And Singh is like, well, yeah, that's right. Like, I'm going to go on and kill Four Eyes, the Fat Woman, and all those residents at Pigsty Alley. And Boner is just like, well, what's wrong with you? And Singh's like, well, yeah, I guess I never told you the story about the Buddhist Palm Kung Fu story. So we then get this flashback done in black and white. So Singh as a kid had gotten manipulated by this crazy man who told him that he had this special aura, that he has this bone structure, that at some point he could have the chi flow of a kung fu genius. So filling his self with all the lies that he can go on and give him to really just pitch him something by the end of this. So, because you cannot escape your destiny. So, the crazy man is going on and saying, you know what? You don't have this Buddhist palm book, and you know what? Normally it's priceless, but for anything for you, I'm looking at you, kid, and I think that uh, let's see if you have $10, and I'll give it to you. So Singh goes home, breaks his piggy bank, his life savings, and gets the $10. And then Bone looks at Singh. It's like, you gave the guy your life savings, and Singh was like, well, yeah. Like, if anything, like when I wanted to grow up, I wanted to study and be a doctor or a lawyer, but I guess world peace sounded better than either one of those other two. So Singh goes on and takes this palm book and he learns all the techniques. And he goes on, he practices them. He sees this tree and he goes on and uses this one like a palm, like attack. And weirdly, the breeze of this attack was so strong that this tree kind of like shook back and forth. And so the kid was like, all right, I think I got it down now. So Sing finally goes on and he's practicing this for so long now. He's like, all right, I'll use this. So Sing goes to all these bullies and they're picking on this girl with this lollipop. And it's like the weird swirly lollipop thing, very old fashioned. So, and this girl, she ends up being mute, it seems. She can't talk. So, and she's holding onto this lollipop. So, Sting is going on and distracting this group of guys from attacking this girl, and so they go to Sing. And so, uh, immediately Sing ends up going on, and he ends up using this palm move, and he ends up like kind of palming this guy in the chest, and it does nothing, and he laughs. So they beat Sing down, they kick him down, and then they realize that he has this Buddhist palm book, and they start laughing at him like, dude, like you got swindled. Like this book is probably worth 10 cents, and I'm sure you gave him a lot more than that. And so they go on, they kick him, they beat him, and then they whip their Johnsons out, they whip their dicks out, and they pee all over the kid, to make it even worse, to put insult to injury. So uh after that, after Sing is to go on and be humiliated in this fashion, I believe that the girl is to look at this boy and is to hand her this lollipop. Or no, she hands the mute girl ends up handing Sing the lollipop, and he throws it to the ground. And so we have current day Sing who's like, well, yeah, that's when I realized that being a bad guy never, or being a good guy never wins. So I wanted to be a bad guy. So like Sing is going on and coming up with this like really profound story and this realization, and then Bone is like ice cream, and then Sing's like where? And so they run off, and so they look at this ice cream stand, and Sing is like, oh, I want vanilla, and Bone is like, oh, I want chocolate. So they go to this ice cream stand, and then they grab the ice cream cones, and then weirdly, like Sing is looking at the girl in the stand, is like, there's something about this girl, and then like she's looking at him. So this girl that's on the stand, she's the girl with the lollipop, and so she wanted to go on and almost kind of take this lollipop out or whatever. But so Sing was looking at her and it's like, there's something about her. So but Sing and Bone look at the girl and realize like they can't afford this ice cream, so they run off. And so the mute girl is like running after them because she wants to talk more to this guy because she knows him, and like they were thinking that she was just running after them to pay for the ice cream, but that's not really what it was. So they're on the train, and they're mocking her and they're laughing at her as she's running off to them. So now we go off to making our way back to Pigsty Alley. So the three kung fu masters, because of what had all played out there, like the landlady is thinking that maybe that the kung fu master should leave town, uh, and so the guys are like, well, hey, like we won't, like we don't want to make any trouble, and this and that, and so like they're trying to come up with any kind of ways under the sun to just kind of get out of this. And the landlady's like, well, hey, like we'll never hear the end of this. This acting will never stop, and why don't you guys just get lost? But also come to find out, like the landlady is to make a decision at the Buddhist temple, or the Buddhist temple, and is to like have this kind of draw straw thing where like she's gonna grab these sticks, and if a stick says for them to go, then they'll go. Um, and that's what they end up doing. So these three kung fu masters, they walk out of this place when they were talking to the landlady, to then find this group of people that are willing to give them food, because it's like, well, hey, like you guys like saved us, so here's this bowl of food. And like the guys are like, oh my god, like these people like us, and like they also like, they're nice to us. Wow, this is quite a gesture. And so the tailor, like, he starts crying because like, oh my god, they're so nice to us. And so the landlady's like, stop crying, like this ain't a show. And so the tailor just runs off like a little girl. It's like, and just starts running off. And then he just, like, is over by these stairs. And so the landlady's looking at the tailor, and he's in this shorts that are like see through. And she's like, why are you wearing these red underwears? Just like heckling the crap out of him. And so, uh, all of a sudden, Jane comes down from these steps, and Jane is like, well, where were you when there was trouble? And so the landlady turns back on all the other people. It's like, well, hey, like, you owe me rent, you owe me rent, you owe me rent, you owe me $90, you owe me $110, you owe me this, you owe me that. And so Jane is like, you know what? I'll pay for all the rents. I'll pay for all of them. I'll cover all of them. And so the landlady is like, well, Jane, how do you have all the money for this? How do you have, like, what do you do to have this kind of money? And so, uh, so at this point, like, the whole town is starting to get like just an uproar, and just getting upset. So finally, like, to combat that roar, we then have the landlady that screams at everybody, and comes to find out this is her lion's roar, that is to go on and be this seemingly attack move, that is to break glass and hurt people's ears. And uh so the landlady is, well, yeah, you, anybody can think that you can out yell me? Nope. So while this is all going on, off to the side, there's both Sing and Bone that kind of make their way back into this town, but they're in this kind of this side part of town. So they're looking at the landlady, and they're like, okay, this is our time. We can kill her now. So we have Sing, who takes out this knife, and he goes on to weirdly try and throw this knife, and it ends up just back in his shoulder. And so he's like, oh, so Sing goes on, and he goes down. And so uh like, Bone is looking at Sing, is like, man, like, you did so horribly at that. And so Bone is like, well, hey, how about you try it? So we have Bone that's like, oh, okay, so he grabs two knives. And so as he throws one of the knives, the other knife goes into to Sing, and it gets hit on his other shoulder. So now Bone has one last knife, and he ends up chucking it, and the knife part and the handle part like completely combust. And so the knife part lands into a part of Sing's arm, and the handle part smacks on the landlady's face. So now here's a recap. Sing has three knives in his shoulders, and arm. So the landlady now upset that there is some just handle in her face. It's like, who's throwing handles? And so all of a sudden she's looking like right in front of her, and she's seeing in this alley that both Bone and both Sing are there. And so Bone ends up grabbing this cage that has all these snakes in it, and so he's shoving this on top of his head, and all of a sudden all these snakes start falling out. And so Sing is to not only have like him gotten stabbed numerous times, as well as also Bone had grabbed one of the knives out, and it's like, well, hey, this one doesn't even have a handle, and then he stabs it back into Bone, or he stabs it back into Sing. And so Sing now is to be like not only covered with all these knives, all of these snakes have now surrounded his body, and like Bone has kind of completely forgotten about the landlady and is now back with Sing, who again has so many knives in him, and now has snakes that are getting so close to his face. So Bone is going on and telling Sing, it's like, well, hey, like I think I had the perfect remedy uh for snakes. Like if you just whistle, they won't bite. And so Sing is like, please don't go on and whistle. Like if anything, like please don't do what you want to do. Like it's not gonna work out. So immediately, like really at this point, like Sting doesn't have anything else to lose, so he's just like, well, what if I whistle? And so the snakes both bite him, and now he just has this like red, uh, like part of his face, and then eventually he'll have these huge, massive lips that end up getting very swollen. So, but if anything, again, we're back with the landlady now seeing Sing, and like she's racing after him, and here's where both of their legs just weirdly turn into like a Sonic ball, and or like the Roadrunner, uh, and like like they're like the superhero the Flash, where they're just starting to run like crazy, and so they're running through all these roads, and they're like Sing is like weirdly like having some way where he's like underneath this car, while bizarrely like the landlady is like is like somehow to have jumped over top of this car. And so what happens is that Sing miraculously is able to get away from the landlady as the landlady smacks into this sign, and Sing ends running away. And so Sting is now in this bizarre, huge, massive traffic sign, and he is like having his lips swollen heavily, and these knives are still in him. And so Sting goes on, and he's starting to fist this traffic sign numerous times over and over and over and over again. And it seems like he really is strong and really is powerful, but there's something that I guess just was like hiding within him that like maybe was to cure him somehow of his wounds and of his problems. So Bone and Sing meet up again, and Bone is looking and Sing is like, well, hey, like, what are you doing here? Like how are you? And Sing is like, well, I'm completely fine. He's like, how is it that your wounds like have healed up so well? And it's like, oh no, no, like I recover very fast. So uh and then like Bone is like, well, where were you? And Sing is like, you know, I don't really remember. And so uh Bone is like, well, hey, maybe that's good because memories can be painful, and to forget may be a blessing. And Sing looks at Bone, it's like, man, you got really deep all of a sudden. So we all of a sudden have Sing and Bone, and they're all of a sudden looking at this woman, and then all of a sudden these two guys with this huge, massive, like weird looking, uh, uh, like I want to say like they're both holding on to this huge sack, this huge elongated sack, this long way, and like it looks like it's a big, massive guitar because it really is, and or like a cello, and the two of them are going on and walking uh, through this sidewalk, and they're like smacking into these traffic signs and everything, and they're trying to like maneuver and like and so Sing and Bone are looking at these two musicians and like, hey guys, get out of the way, like we want to see that woman. And so the musicians are like looking at them and they're like, whatever, and they just keep walking. And Sing and Bone are looking at these musicians like, God, these guys are stupid. So, so here's where we go on, and we go to the Buddhist temple, and we find that the stick is going to tell the kung fu masters that they need to go. So transition back to uh, Brother Sum's casino lair. So it comes to find that those two musician guys were to go on and meet up with Brother Sum because they are to seemingly be one of the top killers, but not the top of killers. So, uh, Brother Sum is like, well, hey, I'm very grateful for your professional help, and one of the musicians like, well, yeah, we definitely understand your problem. Uh, and goes on, and it seems that they know quite a bit about who they're up against. So, uh, and so Brother Simmons like, well, yeah, these guys are really good, and it's like, well, yeah, but like, but they're one of the top fighters, and but the musician's like, well, like yeah, like we are one of the top ones, but if anything, this is still going to be quite a challenge for us, and so the advisor makes the mistake of saying like, well, like uh like these killers, like they're number ones, like they're expensive guys, but worth every penny. And so the musicians have to go on and correct the advisor, like, well, we aren't the number one. Like, if anything, the beast is actually the world's top killer. And Brother Sum is just like, well, like I heard that guy, uh, like dedicated his life so much to kung fu that he went crazy, and it's like, well, yeah, like I think he went to the loony bin, and so if anything, so yeah, so like these guys are just saying like, well, hey, we're just musicians, and I think we're gonna like I think we're gonna do our best. So uh, we now go on to meet with the three kung fu artists that realize that they are gonna have to move and leave town. So uh, the three of them are meeting together at this town square, and it's like, well, yeah, they're definitely three of a kind, and they all wish they kind of knew that they were kind of as skilled as they were, and so like one of them goes on and asks the other, it's like, well, hey, how about we spar for a little bit? And the guy's like, no, like you know what, I have to go on and I kind of have to pack and like, yeah, we're really busy, and so you think that they're all going to start walking off, but no, all of them actually start to spar, and then they realize, oh, hey, uh, like you're one of the 12 kicks of Tam school, and no, uh, like oh, you're pretty powerful and yet delicate. I like, oh yeah, you're the top notch, and oh, you have a hexagon staff. Uh, like, oh wow, you're very, you have a lot of moves and you have this and you have that going on. So they go on and they like each one of them have like their own like very respectful kind of like, okay, like we've kind of summed all of our one of ours up, and so it's like, well, like I guess till we meet again, guys. So we have the Iron Fist, and he goes on his own. And so here is when one of the musicians is strumming on this, like let's just say it's a guitar. It's a kind of a lay on the ground kind of guitar, but it's one of those. It's kind of one of those string instruments. So this guy's going on and playing this thing, and he has really long nails, like really crazily long nails. And so all of a sudden, we start to see that things are starting to break around this Iron Fist. Like this pot is to break, this cat chopped in half, and so all of a sudden we go on and further, like, okay, what the heck is going on here? And so as the Iron Fist is to turn around to look at this guitarist, we then see that his head comes clean off, and then he falls to the ground. So we have this tailor at his tailor shop, and so the tailor's looking at uh, this guy in the shop, and it's one of the musicians. And so the tailor's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like we're closed, sir." And so the guy's like, "Well, hey, like I have this piece of fabric here." The tailor's like, "Oh, wow, like you're looking at that, and like it seems like that's a real high grade fabric." And he's like, "Well, hey, how high?" And he's like, "Oh, well, like the sky's the limit." So the guy goes on and takes the fabric and he puts it in front of him, and then he rips a hole through it and uh tries to choke the tailor, and like goes on and tries to fight him. And so that's where the tailor desperately grabs again for his rings, and goes on to face off against this guy who's kind of just clawing through these walls and just and facing off against this tailor. So they get this tailor outside, and so now like they've set up in a different place this guitar, and they're strumming it again. So the guitar goes on to, and I say guitar, and I'm sure it's not the right word. Like it's a sitting guitar, but again, it's just kind of weirdly goofily just a guitar in my mind. So they continue to just strum this instrument, and then all of a sudden all these swords start flying out of nowhere, and that goes on and ends up breaking all of the silver rings off of the tailor, and he's like, oh my god. So he's like, what am I gonna do now? So uh the advisor and brother Sum are looking at this car, and the advisor's like, oh my god, like we're gonna turn uh like this alley into brothel. All right, okay. So like the advisor is talking, but he's looking out the window so much, and like brother Sum is like pushing the advisor out of the way. He's like, hey man, like you're obstructing my view, I want to see what's going on. So the tailor is going on, and like he's trying to figure out a way to use some kind of uh environmental weapon now at his disposal. So he sees uh this kind of wheel, and like it looks kind of like a wheel with this kind of just like pipe around it. It probably is used like for a farmer to kind of like flatten land. So this guy all of a sudden takes this like big wheel, this big rock wheel, with uh, this piping around it. And so he takes this thing and he swings it, and he tries to fling it at the musicians, but the guys just strum the guitar yet again. And I think this is where they like prop the guitar up and they strum it, and this ends up completely destroying this whole uh, rock wheel and completely annihilates it. So we have at one point where the landlady is like, "Hey, what's all this ruckus? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm getting a little ticked off." And so, uh, the landlord is consistently trying to like close the windows. It doesn't want any part of it, and is hoping that like this will all just go away. So now all of a sudden the musicians are strumming their guitar, and all of these ghost fists are coming out of the woodwork to go against this tailor. And so uh and the tailor at this point is already just kind of battered in the chest a little bit, and with all these swords coming at him. And so and he's kind of getting cut up a little bit. So here's where Donut comes out of the woodwork out of nowhere, and he decides he wants to go on, and he wants to help out the tailor because like he's one of the heroes of the town. So he all of a sudden has these spears with all these like strings on them. So he's whipping out all of these sticks, and so all of these sticks are just one by one kind of flinging and trying to go on and counter all these knives that are coming flying and all of these things. So we get to the point where Donut is using up all of these sticks and they're all breaking, and it gets to the point where now Donut has this one stick that he's getting so close to the musicians to almost pierce them, and the musicians end up strumming their guitar, and it completely combusts the one stick to where now it seems that both Donut and now uh, the tailor, like they have just gotten so blasted that they're now bleeding, and like the tailor is all battered up and cut up, and like these guys are getting so close to basically just like they're going to die soon. So and the landlady is still just like, "Hey, what's going on? What's all this? What you?" And the landlord is like, "Hey, close the windows again." They're like, "No, no, like let's not get involved." So, uh, and then the advisor opens the door of the car and it's like, "Hey, fatso, eat shit and die." And then he's like, and he's upset and he's throwing an axe or whatever. And again, like the brother Sum is pushing the advisor out of the way because like, "You're in my view, get out of my way." So the swords are coming out for the tailor and for Donut because it's like, "Hey man, this is gonna be the last blast of this all." So finally we go on to have a counterattack being done, and the landlady is like, "You know what, you pushed too far, like give us a break." So the landlady goes on and does her lion roar and combusts all of the swords up. And so now we go on and have the landlord that appears right next, shoulder to shoulder, like he's kind of, "Hey, hey guys, hey, yeah." And like the musician's like, "What?" And so the landlord, we come to find out, is really good at martial arts. He goes on to uh, just start beating the crap out of him. And like we're like, "Wow, this guy is really good." So he goes on and he takes him and he swings him, and he swings him so much that the pot by the time he finally throws him, like they make that this yin yang symbol. So we go on and have both the landlord and landlady by the end of all this they go on and they use their weapons so well at their disposal that, like, the musicians, they go on and they strum this thing, and all these zombies and all these like samurai zombies are coming out of the woodwork, out of their musician like things. And we again have the lion's roar that just disintegrates every single one of them, blasts the musicians like just out of the park. They're dead, they're taken care of. And now brother Sum and advisor even break their windows of their car. So the two musicians are like, oh my god, the lion's roar, that exists, I thought that was a myth. So they run out of there. They realize that they're outnumbered, and so the advisor and then brother Sum are just like, well, like, uh, they're like, oh my god, we got to get out of here. Like, hey driver, start the car. And then so we all of a sudden see the driver, and right next to him is the landlord. And then we see brother Sum, and we see the advisor, and in the middle is the landlady. And like, hey, all right, hey guys, like, so uh so all of a sudden they're trying to be really nice, and they're just like, hey, keep it down, like, don't you have manners, and scumbags. We we have brother Sum and we have the advisor. They're trying to be nice to these people, and so eventually, like, the landlord and the landlady are like, oh, okay, all right, so we won't kill them today. Like, we'll intimidate them so badly that they won't even think about coming back to us. So they leave brother Sum and the advisor and the driver. They let them live, and so they drive off. So brother Sum and the advisor are just kind of shaking so badly that brother Sum tries to light his cigarette, and he accidentally lights himself on fire. And weirdly enough, like, the advisor is to only see uh god, what is it called, flask. And he opens up the flask and he pours the flask onto brother Sum's head, but the flask has alcohol in it, so it just makes it worse. And so now brother Sum is like, oh my god, I'm on fire, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And like, the advisor is just wanting to get just far away from brother Sum, just because he's just going to continue to burn. So the landlord and the landlady are just having to like look at these kung fu masters and like put them in these cots because they're going to die. Like, Donut is the only one that's really left standing here, and he's like, well, no, I can die in peace. And the landlord's like, oh, don't say that. Uh, so Jane is going on about like, well, hey, if you're such good fighters, like, why didn't you go out there? Why didn't you like act on it? And so the landlord is saying like, well, like Donut said, everyone has their reasons. And so come to find out, the landlady and landlord, like, they were really like top fighters in martial arts, but uh they had a son, and their son died because he had fought and he had died. And so they decided since then that like, they were never going to fight again. And like, they made a vow that they would never do so. But again, like, revenge can be devastating. So the barber comes in and he's like, well, hey, how about you guys just train us to be top fighters, and then we can get our uh like revenge for these guys. Like, we can go on, and we can seek seek out these people and take them out for you guys. And so uh we have the landlady that's telling the barber as he's going on, and he's showing all these like karate moves. And And it's like, well, no, 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 like it's not something as simple as that. It's like you really have to go on. You have to be a top fighter, and it takes time, and you have to be a natural kung fu genius, and that's like only one in a million. And so, as this barber steps up, the landlady punches him in the face, and she's like, "Nope, like this isn't the guy. He isn't it." So 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 yeah, so the landlady and the landlord, they broke a promise to finally fight, and so Donut is going on and telling the landlord before he dies, like, well, hey, with great power comes great responsibility. He's Ben Parkering him right now. He's Spider-Manning him right now. And uh so weirdly, like, Donut tells him all these like weird sayings, and then he dies. So we then transition to this train that's going on. So Sing and Bone are across from that Four Eyes geek that they saw before. And so he's like, hey, you know what, Four Eyes? So uh and so the guy's like, well, hey, like I like my glasses, and like they're gold frames and this and that. So like Four Eyes just gets up, and he grabs Sing, and he grabs Bones, and he's slamming their heads against these seats, and he's bashing them. And then he goes on, and like he rags on them so badly that they get out of the train. So Sing looks at Bone, is like, well, hey, like, where were you when I needed you? And like Bone was to go on like, well, yeah, I did give a growl. And like Sing is like, well, that was a wimpy growl. So like Sing is realizing, like, man, we've gone like so far now, and we haven't killed, we haven't arsoned, we haven't robbed, we haven't raped, we haven't done anything. And so uh finally we then have Sing that goes to this stand again, and is to rob this girl, and it ends up being the mute girl again. So Sing is going out of like, okay, this is a stick up. Where's your money? Where's the money? Like, what are you looking at? I'm serious. Where's the money? So this girl doesn't go on and answer him because she can't. And so weirdly, like Sing is going on and holding this mute girl in a very romantic way, and there's this weird movie poster behind them that is showing the exact same pose, like showcasing these two characters are going to be romantically entangled together. So Bone ends up figuring out that there's this little trap latch that opens this thing, and then so they get the change out. And so Sing feels bad that he had gone on and had taken money from this girl. And so uh, the girl gets out the lollipop and shows this lollipop to Sing's face, and it's like, hey, I was that girl. So Sing goes on. Sing goes on and takes the lollipop and throws it in the ground, and it shatters and then it breaks into pieces. And so Sing now feels bad about what he did, and like he finally looks at Bone. He's like, you know what? How about you go on and run off and be a farmer, and how about you raise pigs? And so Sing then goes on and gives what they stole. He just gives it to Bone, and then he runs off, and then Bone throws him one of the jars of water. He's like, no, I'm not going to leave you just with nothing. And so Sing goes back the uh to the Axe gang hideout because they're looking for him because they need him for something. So Singh makes his way into this casino, and so the advisor is looking at Singh. It's like, hey man, how about you buy some new clothes? Here's some money, and because they're gonna need him for something. So uh, and plus they're telling him it's like, hey, you're gonna be a member of the Axe Gang. And he's like, wait a minute, what? Like, all right, I okay. Like he didn't do anything, but he's gonna get into this gang anyways because they're gonna use him to get to this guy called Beast. So there is this sign that says a typical pathology center, and so we'll find that this place is actually to just be some loony bin. So and then also like Singh will read the building and it'll say like research for abnormal people. Again, it's a loony bin. So Singh goes on and makes his way to the front of this building as they're taking these wire cutters to cut through this fence. And so Singh is like, well, hey, what am I doing here? And so the advisor's like, well, hey, I have this map. And you go down to this cell, and down to this place, you go this and this. And so uh, all of this is just for Singh to go to make his way through this insane asylum, and in front of the insane asylum, there's to be these soldiers there, and then Singh's like, well, hey, there's these soldiers, these military are here, and the advisor's just like, oh, those are just Boy Scouts, and yeah, Boy Scouts, and Singh is like, they have a tank, and so it's like, yeah, whatever. Well, like if anything, like if you kind of figure out the schedule of them, like these guys will be gone, and you can sneak in there. So Singh gets further and further close to this loony bin place, and it's looking even more scary. And like it feels like there's like something really horrifying about this place. So Singh goes inside, and then all of a sudden he has this sack with him that he's supposed to keep with him. And as he gets really close to one of the doors, this arm reaches out to grab his sack, and so Singh just lets it go and then continues to run off. He falls down these flight of stairs because he can't really see, and so he goes down to this really long hallway that has this big, massive door that eventually Singh looks at it, and he's, I guess, reminded of the Shining movie where the elevator's open and all the blood is coming out and flinging out of the whole entire hallway filled with blood. And so Singh makes his way to this door and he realizes like, well, hey, here's my pickpocketing skills at use. So he opens a door and swings it open, and there's just this guy in a toilet, and he has this newspaper, and like he is the most unusual looking guy that you would think would be like the number one killer because he's just wearing this tank top, these shorts, and these flip flops, and like he's very much the I got a phone call while I was doing this, of course. So they go on and they bring this guy who of course is the Beast back to the Axe Gang headquarters. So they're like, man, like the world's top killer indeed really doesn't look like the part at all. Like they're looking at his flip flops, looking at his tank top. It's like, man, this guy looks like nothing. So the Beast is the best of them all, and like they're looking at Singh. It's like, you know what? You sure you got the right guy? And Singh is like, yeah, I think so they have to go on and they have to prove that this guy is the Beast. So Singh is like, all right, okay, so yeah, we really need to figure this out. So Singh is going on and like he is to pretend to punch the guy, but he's to like poke him in the forehead, and then he runs off and then he hides uh, to just see what the beast does, and he does nothing. And so one of the Axe members just goes on and is looking at the beast like, you know what, like I think this guy's a lie. I think this guy's a ruse or whatever. So like the guy just goes on and just starts punching him. And so the beast is like, dude, punch me harder. Like, no, punch me really hard. Like, come on, like, let's do this. So the guy gets just so frustrated that he grabs this gun, and like the beast just takes the gun out of the guy's hand, and he ends up taking the gun like so close to him that it's like, and he shoots it, and like the guy like catches it with two fingers, and the bullet is between his two fingers, and he's like, all right, like you guys get it now, like I'm really this good. So and so we have the beast that is to show that he is this good so well that Brother Sim is now like, man, you are the greatest of all time. I'm gonna bow down to you, as well as all the other Axe members are gonna do the same. So Beast goes on and he is to kick the ground, and there's to be this path that makes his way through this casino to then get to this one casino table because the tragic couple is to be there. The landlord and the landlady come to find out the landlady is to actually be the dragon's daughter, and the landlord is to be this famous young gal. Uh, so the two of them are famous, and so uh, the beast is just kind of at this table, and he's like, "Hey, like, what are you guys here for? Hmm? like you guys are the tragic couple, all right? Like, because this guy has been wanting to find competition for years. Like he's really like kind of hid himself away because anyone he could go on to find to like test him, like he could easily kill and defeat and whatever. So he wanted to find a challenge, and this seems to be finally something where he's possibly resume wise kind of met his match. So the beast is just like, hey guys, what are you here for? And the landladies and landlords are just like, well, yeah, like we're here to take down the Axe Gang. It's like, all right, okay, cool. Well, it seems like if you're gonna have to do that, you're probably gonna have to get through me. So you know what, like let's just kind of like let's dance. Let's see, let's play this out. And also, the landlord and landlady are like, well, hey, we also come up with like a peace offering gift, this bell over here. And so Beast is like, oh, okay, all right. So they go on, and it's like, okay, let's dance. So the landlord and landlady they kick through this table, and they try and kick the beast, but the beast just like, like, nope, you're not gonna go on. You're gonna kick me, and get me that way. So like at first a lot of the stuff that they're trying it's like the beast is just like oh come on like like these are kind of practical things so they go on and they try kicking him again and like his face like shifts in a weird bizarre like kind of clay almost way and but then like we see the CGI is quickly faded and now like there's a fist here and there's like a foot here and the beast is just like oh whatever so like he flings them and like they come back with like two punches like if they're Superman and like Toad does everything to just kind of kick these guys back consistently. Uh so both Land Lord and Lady they're thinking like man this guy's freaking strong. So they're both on the ground now and so the beast goes in and jumps really high and falls onto the ground nearby the landlord and lady and like it kind of shatters the ground a little bit so landlord faces off against a beast and what ends up happening is that like the beast is just like taking him out like breaking his arm and doing all of this stuff to just easily take this guy out and then so now back to the landlady and she's going on and doing this weird breathing thing where she's like shoving her stomach like really far back, and is gonna go on and do this scream while her landlord husband has now gone on and is to go flying and smash into this wall, and then he falls over. So the the landlady ends up hitting, I think, the beast with the lion roar, and the normal one ends up like not really doing anything to him. So they continue on. So we have the beast that takes both landlady and landlord's arm and is twisting the crap out of them. And so landlady is going on and taking the stick and bashing the beast, and it breaks. And so she tries to go on and tries to like just stab him with this stick, and the beast just takes the stick and twists it and confettis it. So now both landlord and lady, they're going on and they're trying to do like these weird goofy like combination attacks. They're trying to attack him together, and again, none of this stuff is none of it's working. So uh they're getting flung, they're getting twisted, they're getting hurt. So they then go back to the Alamo, which is to basically go back to that huge bell that was to be this weird gift. And so we now go on, and the landlady is now smacking this bell to make these vibrations. And I'm like, okay, what is she smacking this bell for? And she's doing it consistently while getting like the landlord and lady getting beaten up by this beast consistently, and like the beast is kicking them and beating the crap out of them. So finally we figure out what this bell is for, that really the landlady was wanting to break off the top part of the bell so that way she could go on and use the lion roar in a much more massive way. So she does the lion roar. The whole room that they're in gets completely demolished, and Beast is now like far, far away from them. And so, landlord and lady, they bring back the bell, and they're gonna do the roar again. And so the beast is like, wait a minute, like I never knew that you can go on and take the lion's roar and do it this way. Like, okay, I'm going to bow to you, and uh, I'm going to give up. I'm going to uh, say that you have beaten me. And so landlady and lord are like, oh, okay, we did it, we finally beat him, all right. So like they take the bell down, and so now they're just kind of looking at Beast, and Beast goes on and he takes these sticks and he tries to like just stab into him, and come to find out these sticks all of a sudden they look like flowers, and they have these little projectile things that go out them or go out of them and stab into landlord and lady, and they spit these things out. So now we get pretzel time. So, uh, because the sticks, he stabs into landlord and lady, and now they're all submissioned up. Like they're all pretzeled up. They look basically entirely together, like they're all pretzeled. So now brother Sum and advisor are kind of looking at all this and like, okay, hey, like we can get him now. We can we can beat them to death. We can take like a stick, and we can now like conk them out. We can kill them. And so Sting is the closest guy there, and so brother Sum is like, hey, you take the stick and you beat them to death. And so Singh looks at Brother Sum. It's like, hey man, like I know what I'm doing, and so he smacks him in the head, and then so he goes on, and so Singh is looking at landlord and landlady. He's like, and so he goes on and he takes a stick and he smacks it on to Beast. It's like, okay, why did you do that to me? And so the Beast gets out of his pretzel with the landlord and landlady, and he then goes on and is looking at Singh. He's like, God, you are like, why? Like, why did you? So Beast punches this guy, and then Singh is on the ground, and he is just like punching him through the ground and continuing to just like, how can he just pound this guy to the ground more? And so landlady and landlord are thinking like, wait, there's something about this Singh guy. Like, there's something that like that this Beast is just pummeling him, and like he's just taking it. So landlord and landlady, they grab Singh's body and they get out of Dodge. They get the heck out of there. And so Brother Sum is looking at the Beast. It's like, hey, like aren't you the best killer? Like, God, like. And so the Beast just goes on and takes Brother Sum and twists his head, and now he's dead. Like, his head is just like where his back should be. And so the advisor is looking at Brother Sum now with his twisted head, and he falls over and he dies. So the landlord and landlady are looking at Singh, and they're like, well, yeah, like, this guy looks like our son when he was his age when he died. And so they're going on and they're taking Singh and they're using all the herbs that they can to like fix him and cocoon him in this like mummified like things so they can fix him. And so but before that happens, Singh tries to draw out what he needs, and what he draws out is this lollipop. And the landlord is looking at this lollipop and he's like, I don't know what that character means. And so then we see the mute, and she's trying to put back together this lollipop, but as she grabs the stick, it falls back over. So we now go back to the mute girl, and we have Bone, and Bone is looking at the traffic light that has all the punches that Singh did. And so now we have Beast and the rest of the Axe gang, because he's kind of just taken over that whole gang now. And he's making his way to where Singh is to have this one final bout between either Singh or the landlord and the landlady. So here's where we have the landlord and landlady. They're at the Buddhist temple, and they have all these herbs, and they're mummifying the Singh, and they're realizing like, well, hey, like we use all these herbs, we use the best they can, like, but like, is this guy gonna come out of this? And come to find out, yeah, he actually will, and he'll become the best martial artist of all time, it seems, as he like bursts out of this cocoon. Because the Beast is going on and he's looking around, and all of a sudden he sees this butterfly in this cocoon, and it's bursting out, and the butterfly flies. And so it's like, oh, okay, all right, like that's some symbolism there. And Singh is going to go on and do the exact same thing. He's going to burst out of this cocoon. So as the Beast makes his way through this pigsty alley and goes to the room where Singh was in, and he had all these herbs helping him out, Singh is now out of his cocoon, and he's now gone on to uh, go on and kind of bandage up the landlord and landlady and bring them to their rooms, their house, their whatever, their place. And he's like, "Oh no, like you guys are all like hurt and whatever. Like you guys just kind of sit down and just kind of relax." So Singh ends up opening the door, and we're thinking that Singh is going to open the door to all these Axe members, but that's not true. Instead, there's a door that opens where all the Axe members are, and Beast comes out of it, and he's just like, "Well, okay, well, like, I guess this wasn't what I was expecting." And so Singh ends up coming out of the door, and the two of them meet eye to eye, and they're like, "Ah, all right." So landlord and landlady are looking, and so at some points they're gonna have like some stuff that they're gonna like talk about here. That is to talk about either Sing or talk about um, the fight that's going on as they're watching this through the window. And so landlord and landlady they're talking, and so they're saying that, well, hey, like Sing, it seems like he's a good kid. Yeah, maybe he'll be a doctor or a lawyer one day. Now he'll probably just be a really good kung fu master. And so Sing goes on and is making his way down these stairs, and so the advisor is like, "Hey, Axe guys, get him, just get him." So all these guys start rushing up to these stairs, and Sing one by one just starts decking them. He like shoulder checks some of them. He goes on to just punch them, and like these guys just go flying against all the other ones, and so we have at one point where axes come from behind Sing, and like Sing just kind of chucks the guys and like continues to just keep on fighting. So we have at one point where one guy starts running up the stairs, and Sing goes on and stomps the guy's toe and crushes the guy's like front part of the toe, and we'll come to find that that is like some toe crushing like attack that he ends up weirdly using. And when all the guys start swarming him all at one time, he uses this move multiple times to kind of collapse a bunch of guys and have them all fall down. So Singh comes from the stairwell and is going on and continuing to fight these guys. And so he's kicking them and grabbing one of their feet, and he flips them. And so the landlord and landlady, they're watching on and like, oh, okay, all right. So uh, we go on to have at this point, we're now like uh, the Sing character has gone on to now like be like he's ping ponging these guys. Like we have the ping pong noise going off every time he's kicking them or hitting them or whatever. Like they're ping ponging off. They're smashing through these walls. They're smashing through these God, what are they called? Uh, the uh, the little um balcony little railings, that's what I was trying to say, railings, uh and they're breaking them, and these are some substantial concrete railings that these people just bashing through, and you just see a number of axe members that are all flying up into the sky and then falling down. And so Singh is now making his way through this balcony, like kind of just place to get to Beast, and so there's a bunch of axe members in between the two of them. So Singh makes his way through all of them, and then he makes his way to Beast, and then you uh, just the fallout of that happening, where like the guys are just like in these windows, or they're just smashed up into the sky, or they're really just all over the goddamn place. So both Singh and Beast meet. And like Beast at this point is just thinking a lot of times that like every little move that Singh is making is just like childish and like meh, like I'm just gonna beat this guy easily. I can catch bullets. Like what can this guy really do? So Singh goes on and he hits I think he uses his hand and he like hits Beast and he goes flying off of this balcony, and we then have Singh who kicks him, and so Beast falls to the ground, and so now Singh ends up using his foot to kind of keep like Beast down to the ground, but then Beast gets right back up and he's like, oh no, like, and he has like Singh's foot, and he's like no, like you're not gonna get me like this. So Beast kicks Singh, and so they start punching one another, and like they punch and counter so much so that they're going just so rapid firely like just countering one another, and it's just going like this, it's just going so quickly, just the fists are just flying, and like everything is to be dodged and fist punching, and like it's so rapid pace here. So now we have Singh that like we get to a point where now like the fists are like blocked, and so Singh goes on and he toe crunches Beast. He's like, oh, I guess that is really effective. And Beast again goes down to like almost one knee. And so Singh again tries that same move where Singh has his foot over like Beast's head and is trying to keep him down. But Singh is like, ah, you're not trying this again. So but Singh does go on and get an attack on Beast where it kind of knocks him back, and now he's like on the ground. And so all of a sudden, Beast is ripping out of his pants, and he's all of a sudden like kind of on all fours, and he has this stance. It's like, okay, what's going to go on here? We have the landlord and landlady. They're talking about this, and they say like, oh, he's using the toad technique. Beast is, and so Beast turns into a toad, and he like headbutts Singh, and he headbutts him through these walls. Like they're going one by one through these walls, and they're crashing through all these. And so Beast finally goes through this last wall, and so Beast and Singh go through all these walls, and so Singh falls against this wall, and then Beast kind of backs up, and then he goes back on all fours, and then he blows out his cheeks, his whole freaking bottom of his face is now blown up, and he's just kind of waiting. And that's when landlady is like, oh, he's using the toad technique. So Singh, to counter this, is all of a sudden he's like, you could basically say he's almost like flying, uh, but he's just like running really fast, uh, like on these balcony railings, and like he's like just kind of figuring out ways to just like uh, climb in a running fashion, like how like Spider-Man. Spider-Man, if you ever have played any of the Spider-Man games, at some point you can see where like Spider-Man takes like a spider web and then webs and kind of like shucks himself up the building, but then also like he is to like run up the building also at some point as well. So uh, and reasonably, Singh is doing almost the exact same thing here. So and then Toad, while realizing that Singh is doing this, he is like shooting off and like as if he's like firing off of a cannon to try and go on and get to Singh. And so Singh is just kind of crashing through all these places like shooting out trying to get to Sing, and Sing is finding these wires and grabbing onto them and holding onto them. And so uh, these things of concrete are getting flung out to Sing. Sing is trying to kick them away and counterattack them, and Sing is now holding on to this string, or this string of whatever it is, and this rope, and the toad has now gone on to be now back onto the ground, and and so the toad tactic beast is now on the ground, seeing uh Sing from this vantage point, and so he rockets off and gets Sing to rocket off with him. So like Toad is now from the ground, and Sing is up here, and so Beast goes on, he rockets off, and he now has Toad going up, and so both of them are going up here, and weirdly, like Sing is going up so weirdly high that like he is like almost in the heavens. That's how freaking high he is, and like he is like meeting birds, and he's like really still like he's kicking off of them to go even higher to where he's seeing this Buddhist cloud where like he is like praying to Buddha. He's like, all right, okay, Buddha, like get Buddha. So here is where then finally Sing, after seeing Buddha, the Buddhist cloud, he then goes back and he's starting to descend. And as he's starting to descend, like his fists are starting to light on fire. And so both landlord and landlady are like, oh my god, like Sing has created the Buddhist like palm from the heavens. Like, man, that has rarely ever been attempted by anybody. But it seems that Sing is going to go on and do this. So we have Sing, and his fists are on fire, but he's still descending. And Beast is like trying to like he's on the ground, and he's like trying to maneuver, but it seems that like the ground is like crackling around him and like pushing him down even more so, and to the point where finally when Sing finally does do his palm while he's still in the air, like Sing's clothes, especially his shirt, burst, and now Beast has kind of been crushed by this giant hand that is now imprinted upon this ground. And so all you see like is this hand, and then Beast is like here in the hand, and he's just stuck there. And so Beast is coming from out of this dirt hand, and Beast is still just like, well, like maybe I should go on and try to do the exact same tactic that I did with Landlord Landlady, and how about I get these sticks out? And immediately when Beast does this, Sing goes on and he does this like talk to the hand, and he whips this out, and then Beast just stops whatever he's doing. He's frozen. And the hand from behind Beast like flows through this entire building. So we just see this handprint like we see here through this entire building. It has crushed that so badly. So, but Beast is still just frozen there, like, and he has these two sticks. And so Sting just goes on and grabs one of the sticks, just throws it to the ground, just nothing, and then goes on and takes the other stick, and he kind of puts it in between his hand, and just kind of like just flies it off, and the stick just kind of just starts confettiing in the ground, or in the air, I mean, not the ground. And so the Beast is just like, oh my god, man, like you are just so, like, how are you doing any of this? Like please go on and like teach me like how you can do all of this. And so Beast bows to Sing, and Sing has won here. So we then go on and still see the stick that looks like a flower, and it's starting to break apart piece by piece. And we end up making our way back to the stick that was a flower, and then just turns into an actual flower, and then lands nearby the girl with the stand, and she's the girl that was mute. So the girl is going on, and like she's trying to sell these lollipops, but it seems that all of a sudden she's really seeing all these other kids that already have all these lollipops. So she's like, well, like, how is it that all these kids are having lollipops now if they didn't buy them from me? So the mute girl makes her way into town, and she's starting to see all these lollipops, and she's like, okay, where is this coming from? So she finally finds out that there's this specific lollipop store. She's like, okay, all right. So come to find out, Bone has this just kind of suit and tie and and an apron, and all of a sudden Sing is there, and he's wearing the same thing, this tie, this dress shirt, and this apron. And so Sing has opened this shop up. And so Sing and Mute Girl looking at one another. And so we immediately know that these two are going to end up together. And so Sing and Mute Girl looking at one another, and they end up turning into kids again, and they hold hands, they go into the store together, and the next thing we see is that old crazy man who had gone on to tell Sing that he is like, you have a special aura about you, you are to be this genius, and you know what, like, you're gonna go on and need these books. So, and he's looking at this kid with like boogers hanging out of his nose and this lollipop in his hand. And so, like, that's how the movie just ends. So, with that said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here so I can hopefully go on and maybe get another review about today. But probably more likely, I'm probably gonna get so tired that I probably only do this one, because who knows how long that this is gonna take for this to upload and whatever. But that said, that covers a good chunk of that movie. So I'm gonna get the heck out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. I know this one didn't really have much of anything that I could say after the fact. But I just enjoyed this movie, and so really, regardless of it being a pointless endeavor for me to go in and talk about all the stuff afterwards, um, I just covered all the review. I just did it. I just whatever, just however I want to do it is just however I want to do it. Like this time around, I really didn't have much to really say. Like I just kind of described some of the stuff, but like I really didn't go in and like all the stuff that I wanted to say, I said in the just the spoiler stuff. So like really I just wanted to tell people just to see this movie. That's all that needed to really be said. If you haven't, see it. If you are to go on and want to have a good time and watch a fun movie, check this out. Other than that, I think it's about that time to just wrap this one up because I got nothing to say about this one besides what I already said in the beginning of this whole video. So, uh, great. This video was luckily, yeah, it was really long, but logically also, I'm sure it probably took way longer than maybe even the movie. I don't remember how long it was. Maybe it was like an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm gonna get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.